So, good morning, everyone. This, as Jen said, is a powerful, powerful topic that we're discussing today. And it's a topic that I think that we often have challenges with. So, in the universe, boundaries create structures and order. They're building blocks of form. Boundaries create definition. They define limits and they support freedom. Truth is, boundaries can free you or trap you. As humans, boundaries are standards and guideposts that we set for ourselves based on who we perceive ourselves to be, how we value ourselves, what we want for ourselves, and most important, what makes us feel safe. There are spiritual boundaries, physical, emotional, mental boundaries. There are relational boundaries. Our relationships have boundaries based on roles. Roles provide a framework, a foundation. They identify one's position, one's responsibilities, and the place within the family, within our workplaces, and also, of course, within society. But in order to set boundaries, it's paramount that we first identify our needs, we know what we want, and what we value, so that we are clear on what boundaries we want to set and why. Of course, the ideal way is to set boundaries and teach others what is permissible and what is not ahead of time. We do that by our actions through our example. How we behave and care for ourselves is the first signal. How we respond to another is the next signal. And our communication is another, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, it is another signal. There are spoken and there are unspoken boundaries. Most important, once we set our boundaries, we must keep them. We have to have the conviction of our boundaries. We must be clear. These are obvious things that most of us know, but we don't always set and keep our boundaries. We don't enforce the boundaries that we say we have. Why? Because we are not aware of and in touch with the truth of who we are, that we are sons and daughters of the divine, because we haven't fully been able to embody this truth. We have self esteem issues, fear of confrontation, that's probably the biggest reason, and also fear of loss. We'd rather put up with unhealthy behavior or be treated in the way that we don't deserve or don't want to be treated than to face conflict. You see, there is the conundrum of power, owning our power, loss of power, or the abuse of power. When we are in a quandary, power, clarity, self care, and courage are required. Power being abused requires that we take a stand. It requires a strategy. It requires that we are clear on our boundaries and why we've set our boundaries. And it sometimes requires a collective effort to balance or right the abuse of power. Like just about everything else, it is an inside job. And that's where our teaching comes in. Because who I am, who I'm being, what's inside of me, or what's missing from me that is creating, influencing, or allowing a situation to unfold is directly related to the breakdown in effective boundaries. Who I am, who I'm being, and who I become is where my power lies. There are times that our inner work and the outer expression manifest at the same time in a nanosecond. The boundary is set. It is usually sparked by a quick decision. As I was doing this talk, I was reminded of a movie that I saw many, many years ago. It's a classic. It's called On the Waterfront. And in this movie, dock workers are being manipulated because they're trying to form a union, if I remember correctly. And Marlon Brando is one of the main characters, and he gets beat up, you know. And at some point, he pulls himself up and stands up and mumbles to himself, something's gotta mean something. And he goes back to fight again. And it is a very powerful and very dramatic scene, but something that I never forgot. It really taught me something and had an impact and effect on me. Now, based on the results that we are seeing, we can deduce that as a human race, we are not fully aware of who we are. We're not aware that we're made in the image and likeness of God. We give lip service to it, but we're not aware of it really. We're not aware that we have the qualities and attributes of God, that we are like the wave to the ocean. And love is the main quality of God. The absence of this awareness, the absence of knowing, is reflected in our world. It's reflected in our world today. If we look, it's very easy, unfortunately, to see. But there are those who are loving, setting boundaries, and taking a stand for love daily. Now, we don't often focus on the power of spirit in this teaching expressing through us as power. We speak about the power of love, but we kind of shy away from power in the world view and only maybe focus on personal power. But even with that, it's about evoking power through our personal experience and expression, and that impacts the world. A world that works for everyone requires many working in concert in order to shift the energetic tide that we see happening. I am eager to see how the world will change if more of us take on being a stand for love, for peace, for dignity, for the right of everyone to define their own destiny with the same velocity as bullies who could care less about you and me. But if we truly trusted and believed in love and lived from that awareness, the world would be a different place. It seems that we have yet to reconcile some of the things that we need to be aware of. I often speak about polarity. The physical world is finite and the spiritual world is infinite. And this gap that we have, our inability to successfully comprehend this gap creates a dissonance for us. We try and take the high road and then have a challenge when it comes to caring for ourselves and dealing with the, in quotes, lower energy of this world. So, as always, we begin in this teaching on a personal level by going within. We are a point, an aspect, a part of the mind of God, a part of the oneness. We have free will and the God given license to create our experience and to create our world. We can be aware and in alignment or unaware and in denial. The quickest way To connect with spirit is to go within and listen, to be quiet and listen for spirit and listen to our own hearts. When we are walking through this world, our gut, our insides, our spirit speaks to us. It is a way that we first become aware that a boundary has been violated, because we have a response and we know that the thing is that we need to go within, that we need to listen, that we need to connect with the presence, with that God spark within us. And we need to listen to our own hearts. We learn and grow in this life. And if we look at history and if we look at current events, it is clear that mankind keeps creating certain patterns, making some of the same mistakes over and over. Because what do we say? It keeps happening until we learn. We're given the opportunity over and over again to learn what we need to know and understand. Bullying has escalated in this world. Bullies must be checked quickly at the first signs of an abuse of power. Love must stand in its power as a response. And the truth is, now and again, conflict in the form of self defense may be unavoidable. We set boundaries for people, but people don't always respect and follow our boundaries. It is critical that we decide ahead of time what our response will be when people don't follow our boundaries. It is the way that we take care of ourselves. It is the way that we stand in self love and love for others also. In this teaching, we say that God is all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere evenly present. That it is love, light, beauty, wholeness, etc. We each were created and made in the image and likeness of God. That we have that God spark, that God essence within, and all of the qualities and attributes of God are available to us. Our ability to embody these truths informs the quality of the lives that we live. We embrace the idea of love, but as humans often struggle with self love. Our ability to create and set boundaries has to do with self love and self awareness. Our ability to love and honor ourselves directly impacts our ability to love and honor someone else. Boundaries are a form of self care. They are also a way of loving others because they set the framework for healthy relationships and a wholesome life. In this teaching, we must first and foremost embody the truth, the awareness that God and I are one, that God is love, I am love, that there is only one, and each of us within that oneness is a reflection. And so, though we live in a spiritual but finite world, setting boundaries, honoring ourselves, and taking care of ourselves and others is a necessary thing that we must do in order to build a world that works for everyone, in order to live a life of harmony and peace, in order to be the divine expression of God that each one of us really is. Let's take this into prayer. And so, what I know is that in the back of all of life, there is this oneness. There is this one divine, infinite, unlimited creative intelligence. Call it God, call it spirit, whatever we call it, it is. And so I affirm with this world that the truth, with this word, that the truth is this presence in the world expresses as love, expresses as beauty and wholeness and everything that is good and wonderful. I affirm with this word that this presence expressing uniquely and individually by means of each one of us is fundamentally, is actually good. That the idea of anything else is a misunderstanding. It is a misinterpretation. It is a mistake. It is a result of us not understanding and not being connected within to the divine presence that we are a part of. Like that wave to the ocean, we cannot be separate. There is only God. There is only one. And as it individualizes in each one of us, I affirm with this word that there is a deeper understanding and a deeper clarity of the truth of who we really are. Because it is only through that understanding of the truth of who we really are, divine expressions of God, that we can move forward and express in our lives as beings that stand for love, as beings that stand for peace, as beings that stand for cooperation and wholeness, as beings that recognize the God in each one, no matter how that one is expressing. The truth is, each one is a divine expression of God. And so, in understanding that each one of us is a divine expression of God, each one of us has the ability and the responsibility to live from that place, to express that truth, to create the boundaries, to create the awareness, to create the understanding that God is all there is, and that anything unlike God is not the truth and simply does not need to express. And so I affirm with this word the love. I affirm with this word the life. I affirm with this word that each one of us is divinely guided, so we recognize and realize more of the truth of who we are as divine expressions of God, and live from that place in health, in wholeness, in clarity, and in peace. And so I simply release this word, knowing that it is the truth and it is done. Please close with me. And so it is. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each chartered course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed, I've cried. I had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a woman? What has she got? If not herself, then she has not to say the things she truly feels, and not the words of one who